So, in terms of recovery, like you must have had an incredible ability to recover, just to continue to do that for a ridiculous amount of time. In terms of, in the evenings when you finished each race, what was some of the effective recovery mechanisms that you found, whether it be sleep, whether it be food? Like, are there some things that really made a big difference to you being able to get back on it the next day?
Yeah, recovery is a huge piece of the puzzle, and it's hard when you're in a consecutive challenge and you can't take any days off. It compounds it even further when the challenge is a quarter of a year with no days off, 24 hours a day. But at the end of every day, I mean, hands-on muscle manipulation from my therapy team was always huge. Food is massive piece of the puzzle. Supplementation is huge. Sleeping is huge. I do red light therapy. I do hyperbaric chamber. Again, the deep tissue massage work, PMF pads for your reconnection and recharging your cell base. There's just so many things that go to it. I'm often quoted as saying the secret to success is doing a lot of little things consistently over a long period of time, and that is the case with recovery. It's just a lot of tiny little things that we're willing to do consistently, and ultimately, I've just gotten really good at in these big challenges being durable and just holding on top of doing all of the little things. If I did have a weird genetic gift, it's the gift to suffer and to endure pain. And that's where I put my focus. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do everything I can. I'm gonna trust in the team, and I'm gonna hold on. They're gonna put me back together. We rinse and repeat. And ultimately, it comes down again by having experiences, knowledge, and realizing that one of the big questions I always get is like, okay, what's more important? Is it more mental or is it more physical? And my answer to that is it is 1,000% both. You can't be a mental giant and not put in the physical preparation. You could be the most mentally tough person on the planet, but you weigh 300 pounds and you haven't respected what it takes to do this goal. Your mind can't pull your body through that. And same thing, you could be an absolute physical specimen, and if you're a mental midget, your mind isn't going to pull that incredible athletic body through it. And so you have to be super powerful in both, and they work together. Now, the mind is super powerful and it can protect you in masking symptoms, masking pain, generating more strength in the mind and allowing you to continue. But if you aren't a super powerhouse in both of those categories, you're not going to be able to do a mental and physical challenge of like a significant duration.
When you did the 100, I understand that you decided that once you were finished, you're actually going to do 101. What was, tell me what made you want to do that?
Yeah, early in the journey, if if you follow our story, I always had these two wingmen with me, these two guys, Casey and Aaron. And early in the journey, Casey was like, "Oh man, it'd be," and because Casey did all the runs with me, Aaron did all the bikes with me, and Casey was like, "Oh man, we should do 101, just me, you, and Aaron." And I was like, "Dude, stop it right now! Like, no chance that's happening. I can't even conceptualize tomorrow, let alone an additional day on top of the 100." And then and so we just like literally stopped talking about it. And then as we got closer into the 90s, past 95, I was like, the conversation changes to, because early on you're like, I can't conceptualize doing one more, and then you get to like 95, 96, 97, 98, you're like, what's one more at this point, right? And see how the vernacular changes, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, now at this point, what's one more? And that's why perspective is super important on a journey, and be careful about catastrophizing and when you do it in your journey, right? And so, I mean, it was totally off the table because I was so broken with 85 more to go. Like, I can't even, I'm struggling showing up today, let alone 85 more days. 101, stop talking about it. And then once we turned that corner, momentum came, continued to problem solve, continued to show up. 98 comes, and I'm like, okay, team, let's talk about it. And literally 3 days before the finish of our campaign, we put together the concept, the idea to do 101. My Jersey team, in 48 hours, design, print, delivery, to us. And so just an unbelievable team that I had around me to make that happen. It really wasn't planned throughout the whole thing. With 3 days to go, we put it on the table, and you know, I speak around the world. I'm known as a motivator and empowerer, and we share our journey to give people hope. And you know, one of the things I talk about is like, look, you've got one more, you can do it. And I felt I would be a hypocrite if I didn't go like, you know, I haven't really done one more, but I know you can do it. And so I was like, okay, I got to lead from the front. I got to set the example. And ultimately, it's for my kids and my family. I'm like, look, if this is what I'm going to preach, I've got to do it. And so we just set out and we were like, you know what, we're going to do one more because I mean, I was broken. I was, even though we'd accomplished the goal, I was broken. And like, I felt it super important. Like I've got to show up one more day just so that I can continue to say, look, when you are broken, when you feel defeated, when you feel completely alone, you can get up and you can do one more. Now, I don't know how many times you're going to have to get up and do one more, but if you continually get up and do one more and show that strength, eventually your journey will shift, your journey will turn, and you won't have to suffer one more. It'll have turned and you'll have, you know, started to gain that momentum. So I just thought as a team, we found it super important that we want to lead from the front. We want to set that example. And so ultimately we showed up and we jumped in the pool and did 2.4 miles. We biked another 112 and we did a full marathon to finish. And yeah, so 101 consecutive 140.6 mile days.
Wow. I heard that when you finished, there was this sort of period of when your mind and your body was going from this sort of like, I guess like automatic, I guess survival mode to coming back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? What was that like? You know, was it kind of a bit of a shock where you'd just mentally been so focused for such a period of time that, you know, your head was trying to sort of fit everything back together again? What explain that period? I found it quite interesting when you was talking about it.
Yeah, it was fascinating because you know, coming off the 50 Ironmans, 50 days in 50 states, you know, the experts were like, hey, be careful, there's going to be a letdown and this and that, and there really wasn't. And so a 7-week campaign, my mind could handle it, my body handled it really well, and we just finished that, transitioned right into business, got taken into the speaking world, went to speak in 48 countries, and I just assumed, oh, the same thing's going to happen on the 100. Well, there's a big difference between a 7-week and a 14-week quarter of a year challenge. And you slowly slip into this protective state that you don't realize you're in. Because it was fascinating on day 98, the film documentary crew was like, hey, how many of these do you think you really could do? And I was like, 200, no problem, let's go. And then like day 102, 103 happens and you're like, how the hell did I do 5 of those? Right? Because your mind finally goes, hey, you've accomplished the goal. Boom, this is what you've done, and I'm going to let you feel about it. And you know, through wrestling and my training and different concussions that I've had in bike crashes, we crashed on day 59 of the 100, got knocked unconscious, and so I was experiencing a lot of cognitive concussion type of things, and there was some very, you know, something was wrong after the 100. There was confusion, there was depression, there was anxiety, something was wrong, and so we just started doing some research, got some help. The world leading facility is right here where I live, 5 minutes from my house, and went and did some brain MRI scans and testing. And they were like, okay, we've got some problems here. It's associated with the trauma, with the concussions, and great news, we can fix it. And so I went through an extensive cognitive therapy protocols. And it's been an unbelievable blessing in my life to have gone through that. I'm still in the recovery phase of it. I mean, I'm more than 6 months removed from that challenge, but I'm still in the recovery process. I'm still being patient with what's going on. But yeah, the brain is fascinating, and to learn that we can reset those neurological pathways, because it's a muscle, right? You stop exercising it, or if a muscle experiences trauma, you've got to do some physical therapy. And the fact that we can do that with the brain, and that there's people out there that have figured out, you know, the brain flow and these pathways and how to fix the gray matter and all these things, it was just an absolute blessing. And I feel like a totally different person, and I'm still improving every single day. And so, yeah, I'm just super grateful for Cognitive FX facility down here in Provo. If anybody's experiencing brain fatigue or brain fog or confusion or depression, anxiety, have experienced concussions, I would definitely look them up. They've got me back on course, and I'm super grateful.